Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Second Chance. This evening, my guest will be Ms. Kim Melton, the Executive Director of Hospitality House of Charlotte. Sit back, grab yourself a paper and pencil, enjoy the show, and we'll be back in just a second. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Second Chance. This evening, my guest will be Ms. Kim Melton, Executive Director of Hospitality House of Charlotte. How you doing there, Ms. Melton?
Just fine, thank you.
Welcome to Second Chance. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your program, Hospitality House of Charlotte.
Well, I'm the Executive Director of Hospitality House of Charlotte. We are a nonprofit organization that shelters out-of-town families who come to the Charlotte area to treat their loved ones who are in the hospital. We're 25 years old this year, so it's our birthday.
Congratulations.
And we have sheltered over 37,000 guests in our house in our 25-year history from 49 states and 33 different countries.
Tell me about the mission and history of the Hospitality House of Charlotte.
Well, we're there to help people who are in their time of need in taking care of their loved one.
Correct.
You know, we kind of think about ourselves as we support those who are supporting others. Someone comes into Charlotte, either their loved one was transported from another hospital, or we've had some instances where people have been in the airport and gotten sick. And so when they were taking care of their loved one, they didn't have anywhere to stay. And so they can stay at Hospitality House. We have a 22-room house, and it's very close to both of the hospitals, and we can help them while they're supporting their loved ones.
I know you have I went to your facility the other day, and it's really nice. Where exactly are you located at? I mean, for the viewing audience.
Well, we are on Scott Avenue, 1400 Scott Avenue. We accept guests who live outside of Mecklenburg County, and they come to us from the hospitals. They give a referral from the hospitals.
Is there a charge to stay in your facility?
Yes, the charge is $40 a night. We ask the guests to kind of share in the economic impact of it, since we are a nonprofit and we aren't associated with the hospitals, and we raise all our own funds. So, but we ask them to help us, and it's been a wonderful experience.
Okay, I know you stated this earlier, but is there any other hospitality house around the country?
Well, we actually belong to a national organization called the National Association of Hospital Hospitality Houses, NAHHH. And interestingly, if any of your viewers want to go to their website, it's nahhh.org, and they can find any hospitality house in the country. There are over 150 of them. So if they hear of a friend who gets called out of town to take care of a loved one, and they want to kind of help them, or they're looking for themselves, they can go on that website, find the location of a facility in any town in the United States, and be able to give them a phone number they can call, because there's many different kinds of hospitality houses.
Okay. How do people at the hospital hear about Hospitality House?
Well, through many different sources. There's social workers at the hospital, there's the nurses on the floor, the chaplain's office, the patient reps. They all know about us after 25 years. I think they all know we're there. And so they let our guests know that we're available. Many times they're afraid to leave the hospital, and because we're so close to all the major hospitals, in fact, in a 2-mile radius of our house, there are 8 hospitals and 2,000 hospital beds.
Oh, okay. What are some of the requirements for staying at your facility?
That you have a loved one in the hospital, that you not live in Mecklenburg County, that you have an ID, and that's about it.
You've told us about your overnight guests. Do you have any other programs that's available?
Well, we have 2 programs that we'll run. One is an overnight guest for people who want to stay in our house, and the other type of program that we have is called our day guest program. So let's say you're in the hospital. Let's say you're with one of your sons in the hospital and you're from out of town. Well, even though you want to stay and you want to sleep in that room with your son, you still may need to do your laundry, or you might need to take a rest. You may need to check your email, post something to your family and friends about your son being in the hospital. Or you might just want to grab something to eat and take a shower and have a few minutes to relax. Well, you can come over to our house and you can do those things on a day guest program. And again, all you have to do is just get a referral from the hospital.
Sounds interesting. What are some of the amenities that you offer at hospitality?
Well, we offer different things. Our house is a 22-bedroom house, 1,300 square feet. And we have a sunroom that the guests can sit in and relax and have a quiet moment. We have a game room with video games and puzzles and computers. And we have we call taking and lending library. You can take the book at home if you want to, or if you just want to read it and put it back, that's fine. We have a television. So it helps the guest, if they are taking care of the loved one, to have a few moments just to be able to think outside their situation, or maybe work a puzzle. One of my favorite stories is we had a mother and daughter from Palestine who stayed with us that did not speak English. And she was working a puzzle one day, and another guest sat down with her and they both started working on the same puzzle together. Now, they might not have been able to communicate and talk to each other, but they could work that puzzle together, and it was really, really great.
I see a lot of passion that you have for your program. Where does that come from?
Oh, I just appreciate the fact that every day I can help people. You know, I come to work every day knowing that the job I do helps individuals, and then sometimes it's the most critical point in their life when they're trying to take care of a loved one and they need to be close. In much of the medical community now, services aren't offered in local area, smaller hospitals, and they're transported to larger regional facilities. We are incredibly lucky in Charlotte to have two great hospitals with Presbyterian and Carolina Medical Center, and they offer a wide range of services, so we don't ever have to leave home to have those services. But many people are traveling, or they are unexpectedly sent to Charlotte. I'm going to tell another guest story. We had a guest named Mrs. Dill, whose husband was in their local area hospital in North Carolina, and they couldn't quite handle what was happening with Mr. Dill, and so they just said that he needed to go to Charlotte for treatment, and that's really all she knew at the time. And so she got a ride from her brother-in-law, and he brought her to Charlotte, and she was with her husband Tommy. And the next day she walked into the room, and the doctor talked to her and said, you know, we really think we need to amputate Tommy's leg. And she was like, I mean, they were both confounded because they certainly didn't expect this. And so she didn't have a car. I remember her saying, all I had was my purse and my cell phone, and that's all I took with me. I didn't think I was going to be in Charlotte that long. And so she stayed with Hospitality House. She was alone, but she was able to walk to the hospital. She had a place to lay her head. We have a beautiful kitchen so she could cook a meal. We have a pantry that our incredible community has helped us stock, and she was able to take time and to help herself as well as Tommy. Tommy told us later that he was able also to heal quickly and not really worry about his wife because he knew that we were taking care of her.
How long is someone able to stay at your facility, Hospitality House?
Well, they can stay with us 21 days, no questions asked, and then at this point they fill out a extension of stay, and we review their case and help them either find something else or they leave. But most of the time our people really don't need any more than that. Our average stay is actually 16 days, so we're able to really help the families from then.
Transportation, I know that has to be a big issue that we may have as family members in a different environment. Do y'all have some type of arrangements dealing with transportation?
Well, our wonderful hospitals help us with that. We actually have a parking facility right across the street. It's a covered parking facility for their cars. But let's say they came in the ambulance, for instance. That would be one of the ways that they could come in, or they flew in to take care of their loved one. The hospitals help us out with transportation. back and forth, and and also in inclement weather if they've walked over and there's a storm. So we all work together as a wonderful team to be able to help the patients heal and take care of their families while they're doing that.
Does your facility help with handicapped individuals?
Yes, we're fully handicap accessible. We have specific handicap rooms, and all our general and common areas are also handicap accessible.
Okay, what's your website again? I know you have a website.
Yes, sir. It's Hospitality House of Charlotte, and you can find a myriad of information on there, from a little bit of history about us. You can, if you want to volunteer, we have a volunteer segment. We also, interestingly, have a group volunteer segment. Some people want to volunteer themselves, like we call them house volunteers.
Right.
So you might want to volunteer by yourself, or let's say you and your friend might want to volunteer together. We typically have our volunteers working like the first Tuesday or the second Wednesday. We have 3 shifts, 9 to 1, 1 to 5, and 5 to 9. Our volunteers are incredibly important to us, because since we're a nonprofit, we don't have the wherewithal to staff the front desk all the time, so our volunteers do that for us. And then we have a night paid staff person that works at night. But our volunteers do so many things. They help the guests, they tell them about the area, they help them in the kitchen, they check them in and check them out. So our volunteers are wonderful. We've had volunteers who've been with us for 16 years, so it's a great organization. Besides individually volunteering, we have what we call group volunteers. We have a area for businesses to come in and volunteer with us. That might be Bank of America we had recently, Family Dollar we've had recently. We have church groups that come in. We have a group of ladies that come in, and their volunteer work is that they come in the first Monday of every month and cook dinner for our guests. So when our guests are at the hospital all day, sometimes they leave at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning and don't arrive back until evening. And we let them know that someone's going to be bringing dinner, and they a lot of times they'll pop back by and have dinner and just have a relaxing few moments away from the hospital, and then they'll go back for the evening and then come back and get a good needed rest, and then go back to the hospitals.
Okay, if I want to volunteer, what would be some of the requirements that you may require from someone who wants to be a volunteer?
Well, there's several things. On our website, we, as said, we have a volunteer form, and the volunteer, you just would fill that out, and it comes to us, and then we set up a time for you to come in. We have orientation at set times of the month, and you can come in and we give you an overview at the house, and you can check us out and see if volunteering there is good for you. And we also teach you a little bit about the history and the hospitality house, and the different things that are asked of our volunteers.
I know you said you're nonprofit. Do you accept donations? And if you do, how do we go about providing this donation to you?
Oh yes, we definitely accept donations. Anything you want to give us, we're more than welcome to take. Well, of course, there's several kinds of donations, so let's talk about that. We have a financial donation, which you could do on our website if you'd like. We have that portal to be able to donate on the website. Also, you can just, of course, mail us a check, those types of things. It's completely tax deductible. But there's also other types of donations called in-kind donations. Let's say your Sunday school group wanted to get together and have a paper drive, and so everybody would collect paper. We have toilet paper. We use 50 rolls a week, so you can imagine how much toilet paper we use. We have paper towels. We have paper napkins, tissue paper. All those kinds of paper goods you could collect, and that's kind of a fun way to do it and be able to bring it by, and that type of donation. We have donations of different products. We also have on our website a sheet that can be pulled down and can be passed out among a group, a business, an organization, a church group, and we love church groups. We have a special section for youth groups, because we feel that youth are very, very important. I think if we can have them learn about the wonderful positive benefits of volunteering when they're young, they continue to do it as they grow old. And so we have several things that youth groups can do, and businesses as well. I know that we have a couple of youth groups that come by every summer. And what they do is they'll come in. We have a story on our website called Stone Soup, and it's basically an old parable, and it's about a man who comes into a village and he only has a stone and he wants to make soup. And to make a long story short, all the villagers give one little thing, come together as a group, and they make a wonderful stone soup, and everybody eats and everybody enjoys each other and they help each other out. And so we have that parable on our website for the youth group. So they come in. Some of them do make stone soup in the kitchen, where each of the kids may bring one can of soup, and together they make this wonderful dish. They make a salad, maybe make some cookies in the kitchen, and be able to have fun together. And yet they're still doing something. We give them a tour of the house and let them know about our mission and answer the questions for them. Or they do goodie bags. That's another thing that businesses and church groups do, is they'll take a just regular white lunch bag and draw on it and do verses and smiley faces and fun, wonderful, happy things, and put a bottle of water, maybe candy bar or a Luna bar, energy bar in there, and then we put them in the rooms for them. So the guests come back and they find this wonderful surprise, and this youth has drawn on it, and it makes them smile and gets them out of their head a little bit and understands that other people really care about the plight that they happen to be in.
Okay, coming into your program, as far as staying at your facility, do you have to be married, or can an unmarried couple come to stay in your facility?
Well, unmarried couples are absolutely welcome. Let's say they had a child together and their baby's in neonatal intensive care unit together. We have one room per patient in the hospital, and so a lot of times families will change out to, let's say for instance you had a brother and a sister. The brother may take care of their mom during the night and sleep during the day, and then the sister goes over the day, or an aunt or uncle. So we have 3 people per room, and they can go back and forth as they need to in the hospital, and to be able to really take care of their loved one.
Okay, we're running short on time, Ms. Melton. If someone wanted to get in contact with you, how would they get in contact with you?
Well, they can go on our website and find out information, or they can give us a call at Hospitality House of Charlotte. That's 704-376-0060.
Okay, Ms. Melton, I'd like to welcome you as far as coming into the show Second Chance. And anytime you want to come back on to educate the community on Hospitality House of Charlotte, you're more than welcome.
Well, we would love to have some of your people come visit us.
Thank you, ma'am. Audience, this show is for you. What I wanted to do is bring this show on to educate you on programs like Hospitality House of Charlotte, and let you know that these programs are available and giving you a second chance at life. Join my website, www.secondchanceorganization.com. I come on every Thursday at 5:30 on Time Warner Access 21. I'd like to thank God for making all this possible. All my TV Access 21 station family members who come on to help me make this show possible. My New Life Fellowship, Pastor John B. Key, my partakers, I'd like to thank you. Everybody in the community, this show's for you. And until we meet again, I'd like to say thank you, and join me next week on Second Chance. Thank you.
Hospitality House of Charlotte is a private, nonprofit organization that shelters out-of-town families in medical crisis.
The medical auxiliary, in order to be meaningful, had to have a purpose.
Right, something besides just getting together for coffee.
And the best way to do that was through an endowment where we could make a real difference in our community. At that time, there were lots of needs in Charlotte, but this is the one that captured all of our imagination. I mean, there wasn't one of us that didn't think a hospitality house wouldn't be the greatest thing for us to do.
And there was none. There was no Ronald McDonald House, there was no any kind of hospitality house to help the people who needed help have a place to stay. Nancy Johnston was the chairman of the endowment.
Very inspirational.
Anything needed done, she was right there to do it. She became chairman of Mays Inn, and she would go to various places to look at hospitality houses and brought the ideas back to us of what there could be.
We did change our name in 1998. We had been Mays Inn, named after the Mecklenburg Medical Alliance endowment, which began the house. We had 2 locations, a house on Scott Avenue across from Carolina's Medical Center, and in a wing of St. John's Baptist Church was our other location. So between the 2 locations, we had 30 beds.
We got that house open and running within 6 months, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was really faster than we
honestly,
didn't have the money to do what we were doing.
We had an angel that bought the house for us because we didn't have any money. Then she let us pay the mortgage payment.
It was basically a very sound place, and in good condition. It was 4 condominiums. We had to once again make it one house. We had 4 kitchens. We didn't need 4 kitchens.
Right.
We only needed 1 kitchen.
One side was for men and one side was for women. It was the dormitory style. Nobody really had their own private place.
St. John's approached us and said, you know, we would be willing to donate space, and we were thrilled. The Reynolds Foundation was very, very generous and gave us a grant for $50,000 to furnish and open that place.
It was lovely.
And of course, we had experience at that point. We knew what we needed. We knew what the policies needed to be. We knew how many volunteers we needed. We knew what we needed in the way of resident managers. And to open St. John's was a lot easier. Sort of like the new house now. You know, it works so well because after 25 years in the business of serving guests, you kind of know what they need. A big table in the kitchen to sit around and talk to each other over, and that's more important than the living room space. Hospitality House is a much better name. We spent years trying to educate people about what Mays Inn was all about, but Hospitality House, it conveys immediately what the house is all about.
The basic needs, they're being met by Hospitality House of Charlotte, of a roof over their head, a bed to sleep in, food to be provided, and more importantly, I think the camaraderie that comes with other people in the same situation who stay here, and you find out you're not alone.
I stayed at a hotel once. There was a second chance prom, and everyone was dressed to the nines and having a blast, and you're there and you're sulking. You know, everyone's on vacation and having a great time, and your heart is heavy and you're burdened, and the world is on your shoulders. And here everyone knows what you're going through. They really care about you here. You have someone to relate to, someone to talk to about your problems. When you come here, at first there are many people that have been here longer than you that can inspire you, and they can tell you, don't give up hope. And then a couple weeks down the road, you find yourself inspiring someone else. This place is better than a hotel. This is a place of hope.
The other thing that we had that you can't get in a hotel room, if someone wants to stay or needs to stay at the hospital, they could go over and shower and wash their clothes and whatnot and go back. Families were able to come over and have a little respite, a little lunch, a little camaraderie with other people. They could have a shower and feel clean and wash their clothes and feel so much better about themselves, but they could be part of that group too.
There are a lot of kids that come through here too, and they always provide a kind of like a sunny spot in the day. Many of the kids that we get here are patients. Yeah, that just touches your core.
I kind of like it here because it's quiet, nice. There's a lot of nice people. It felt like home.
This house is just like any other business. It requires people, materials, supplies, money to operate, and you know, when it's not for profit, to be able to provide your time or some money or some supplies, to me, it's just a great sense of satisfaction that you've done something, that you're a part of something great.
In-kind donations are also very important to Hospitality House. Any household item that you might use, cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, toilet paper, paper towels, all those types of things are utilized each and every day here. We don't have a cleaning crew that comes and cleans. Our guests help us to do that, and that's part of their stay here. We also have a pantry for our guests to use. A lot of guests are coming to us in an emergency situation, so they don't have the opportunity to bring a lot of things with them. And so those items that are donated are very important for some of our families to eat every day.
The
If everyone could just tell someone who we are, that helps tremendously. The more word gets out, the more people know about us, the more people we can touch.
Charlotte is so proud of its Southern hospitality, and we are the best face of that hospitality. We open our doors to complete strangers whose only connection to us is that they have a loved one in the hospital. But when people get to know us and understand what we do in such an open, caring way, then they're sold on the idea and hopefully continue to support us year after year.
Donations obviously are very, very important because we are funded solely by the caring members of our community, and we appreciate each and every single gift, no matter the size. Every gift is critically important for us to continue to be here for the families who need us.
You know, there's so many people who helped with the house, and it would be so hard to be able to mention them all.
And there's so many volunteers that helped over the years, hundreds I'm sure, and so many that worked for years. And it wasn't work though, it was a happy volunteer time, it was a fun time, and we enjoyed doing it, every one of them. I'm sure I speak for each one.
It was a great way for us to come together, and it was a great way to give back to the community.
For our future, I see so many different possibilities. I see the business community understanding that we're here and supporting us. I see more and more churches coming on board and helping us. I see more and more people in the Charlotte community giving, not only monetarily, but in in-kind donations. I see restaurants bringing by meals. You know, we had 28 beds in our 2 smaller houses, and now we have 50. And I'd really like to be able to help more people. Maybe we get another house in the future, but for right now, the way that the community is really supporting us is important for our guests and our volunteers, and incredibly important for our house.